Would you state your name and occupation?
Yes, Lynn House, Deputy State Superintendent here at the Mississippi Department of Education.
Did you have any conversations or meeting with the interim superintendent of the Jackson Public School District?
Yes, I did.
And would you tell the commission about those meetings?
Sure. Dr. Burnham and I had the privilege of meeting with Dr. Sargent in the latter part of July 2011 after she was appointed. We had, I think, a very candid conversation expressing the desires on the part of the department to offer whatever assistance to Dr. Sargent that she needed to ensure that JPS was moving forward in the way in which she and the board were seeking. We also had conversations with Dr. Sargent in August, September, November, and January around, again, ways that we could assist her related specifically to special education as well as some other kinds of things. We had a meeting with Dr. Sargent during, I think it was mid-August, and her staff so that we could further explore what the district needed from us in regards to the technical assistance. I think Dr. Sargent had some concerns about the technical advisory group that had been assigned to work with JPS. And then over the next couple of months, I think she resolved how she wanted to approach that and was throughout the process the ultimate professional who clearly wanted to ensure that any needs that needed to be addressed were done so effectively.
So through your conversations with the department has been trying to provide assistance to the Jackson Public School District?
We have, yes.
I have no further questions of Dr. House at this time.
We have no questions, please.
The department would like to call Dr. Armarita Tell.
Heather D. Eagle.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. D. You may proceed.
Thank you. Dr. Tell, if you will please state your name for the record.
Armarita Tell,
And who is your employer?
Mississippi Department of Education, Office of Special Ed,
Okay. And what is your job title?
Bureau Director in the Office of Special Education.
And how long have you been with the Department of Education?
Around 6 years now, 8 years.
When the Department of Education receives a complaint against the district for special education violation, does your office receive that complaint?
Yes.
Okay, and what is the process when the Department of Education receives the complaint?
We contact the school district that the application has been made against to ensure that they receive the complaint. According to the federal law, we must contact the department district that the allegations against to ensure that they receive a copy of that as well. The law requires that it goes to the superintendent of the school district that the application has been made against. After that happened, we send them a notice stating that we received the complaint, provide them with necessary information, informing them of what the allegations are, give them 10 days to respond to the allegation, to provide us additional information. We also give the complainant the same opportunity to provide additional information as well. Once we receive that information, we come together as a staff to review the necessary information to make a determination whether we should go on site based on the information that we receive from all parties. The law says that we have 60 days to complete that process.
If you will, Dr. Till, in the exhibit book that's in front of you, we'll look at what has been previously introduced as Exhibit C12.
I'll put it back.
Somebody want to give her another book that she can read.
I'm sorry. It's just
It's a published book.
take a little bit of time.
Please identify this document to the commission.
And it's the timeline for Jackson Public School District.
And who prepared this timeline?
I did.
And is this the timeline that was presented to the commission at the March 12th, 2012 meeting?
Yes.
And if you will briefly go through and explain the dates on the timeline for the commission.
Okay. 9/8/2010 was the date that the original complaint was filed, the systemic state administrative complaint against the Jackson Public School District filed by the Mississippi Youth Justice Project on behalf of 9 petitioners in a class of similar situated and treated students with emotional disability, as well as on behalf of students who allegedly manifest behavior issues and have been subject to 3 or more disciplinary removal and or placed in alternative school setting. 10/4/2010, district responded to the original complaint of 9/8/10. 10/20 through the 28/10, mediation was held for no agreement. 10/14/22, 2010, MBE OSE conducted an on-site investigation. 11/22/2010, MBE OSE issued a report of findings and decisions. 12/21/2010, district responded to the findings and decisions with an improvement plan. 1/25/11, MDE, OSE, and Fluency Plus met with JPS to discuss the improvement plan. 4/18/9/11, an on-site follow-up visit was scheduled. District asked the team to leave 1 day after being on site. 5/19/2012, MDE, OSE, and Fluency Plus met with JPS to discuss technical assistance. 5/4/2011. 5/24/2011, follow-up visit notification letter. 5/25/27 through the 27/11, OSE on-site follow-up visit. 9/26/2011, a letter to JPS update following review of revised September 2011 improvement plan. 10/25/2011, follow-up visit notification letter forward to the district. The district canceled the visit. 11/10/2011, follow-up visit notification letter, 11/15/16/2011. OSE did an on-site follow-up visit, 1/13/2012. Letter to JPS, November 2011 follow-up visit report, 2/23/2012. Letter from Dr. Vernon to Dr. Sargent, 3/5/2012. Letter from accreditation to JPS.
Thank you. And if you will look at what's been previously introduced as Exhibit C13, and tell the Commission what that document is.
Behind C13, updated timeline for Jackson Public School with additional information on the original complaint file, 9/8/2010.
And are the items from September 8th, 2010 to March 2012 the same on the timeline?
Now, there's some additional information added.
But between September 8th, 2010 to March 6th, 2012, those the same?
You said September 8th to, I'm sorry?
March 6th, 2012, are those items the same as on the previous timeline?
All except one document. There is an add on 4/3/2012. That document, letter from Jim Comstock Gallatin, attorney for Southern Poverty Law Center.
And is there also an additional item for March 28th?
March 28th, a letter from Vanessa Carroll, attorney for Southern Poverty Law Center.
And looking at the timeline, on March 28th, after the department received that correspondence from the Southern Poverty Law Center, what action, if any, did it take?
Once we received the information on March 28, 2012, I contacted the school district asking them to respond to this additional allegation.
Okay. And if you will look at what's been previously introduced as Exhibit C15 and identify that document for the Commission, please.
What document was that?
C15.
C15, a letter was forwarded to Dr. Sargent April 5th, 2012, and to Dr. Kenneth Atkins, stating that dear Dr. Sargent and Dr. Atkins, the Mississippi Department of Education, Office of Special Education, is in receipt of additional allegations related to the systemic state administrative complaint filed on September 8, 2010 against the Jackson Public School District. A copy of the letter dated March 28, 2012, and the supporting documentation from Vanessa Carroll, attorney for Southern Poverty Law Center, is enclosed. Southern Poverty Law Center alleged the following violations. Number A, failure to comply with IDEA discipline regulations. B, failure to conduct manifestation determination and conform with IDEA. C, failure to provide adequate and meaningful transition planning.
Okay, thank you. You will please tell the Commission why that letter was sent.
Because the original complaint stated that JPS was supposed to deal with similar situated students, and this complaint said that there was still some issues and concern on similar situated students. Once an allegation comes in, we forward to the district and we ask them to respond to the allegation because there are allegations at that time. So we ask them to respond with any updated information.
Did I understand your testimony correctly that this was another issue regarding JPS's non-compliance arising out of the systemic complaint that was filed on September 8th, 2010?
Yes.
And if you will, Dr. Tell, please look at what's been previously introduced as Exhibit C14. C14 is JPS complaint due process.
This is information dated and stating how many state complaint has received from 2011 to 2012.
And did you prepare this table based on the complaints that the department had received specifically on Jackson Public School District from 2010 to 2012?
Yes. From 2010 to 2011, 2011 to 2012.
And how many complaints did the Department of Education, Office of Special Education, receive against JPS during this time frame?
Approximately 13.
And if you will briefly go through the chart and explain to the Commission the types of complaints, the issues that were involved.
FAPE, which is a free or appropriate public education, identification, evaluation, again, FAPE and IEP, individualized plan program for students with disability, identification and evaluation, placement and FAPE, FAPE again, FAPE, child find, FAPE, identification and FAPE.
That is all that I have at this time.
Yes, I've got a couple of questions. Dr. Kell, the document you were just looking at showing those particular complaints, I believe there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 complaints, and I noticed that 4 of them are listed as complaints, and that was filed with the Mississippi Department of Education under complaint procedure, correct?
Yes.
And let's see, 2 of those were due process hearings, correct?
Yes.
In other words, where a parent files for a due process request. Now, in each of these cases, these 5, 6 cases, these were on behalf of individual parents complaining about services not being provided to their child.
Yes.
Okay, so these were like individual student issues that the parent has an option of either filing a complaint with the State Department of Education or filing for a due process hearing in front of a due process hearing officer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are these the only complaints that you have that have ever been brought by individual parents against the Jackson School District?
No.
Okay. What do these represent?
Now, if you're asking me, there's 2 pages.
Okay.
Okay. So we've had some, since I updated this is not all inclusive, we've had some additional complaints to come in at this time. So this is a representative based on when I produced this list.
Okay, so this particular list, these 2 pages in, where all those are listed as complaints, those are issues that came to the State Department and a letter of finding was ruled on by the State Department, correct?
Yes.
But there was no due process hearing in those cases, right?
Not in those cases where we issued findings and decisions.
Okay, and I noticed that there are 2 that are listed as due process hearings that are still open.
Yes.
Okay, so those have been filed and those due process hearings have not proceeded, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so you don't know the outcome of those?
I do
correct?
not.
And then there were several that were withdrawn, I believe, as well, correct?
That is correct.
Now, again, are all of these on both pages individual student issues?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you know how many special needs children JPS has in its district?
No, I do not know how many.
Do you have an order of magnitude?
I would have to refer to our data department. They deal with the actual number of students. I don't keep that up in terms of knowing how many. We have an area that deals with the data for our school district, and they can look at instances, but I do not know the instances within to see how many students. I cannot give you a total number. I can guess, but it would not be correct to do that.
If I represent to you there are approximately 3,000 special needs students in the district, and over a course of how many years are all these complaints? 2 years or 3 years? How many?
Just 2 years.
And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 over a 2-year period of time.
That's correct.
Okay. And do you think that's an inordinate number of complaints filed by parents on behalf of their particular child for a district as large as JPS?
Well, we get more than that. Our procedure is that we talk with parents and try to resolve the issues and call the school district and ask them to talk to them before they go to due process or state complaint. So I couldn't say whether the requisite number of that based on the calls that comes in, and we try to resolve before it gets to this process.
Certainly, and the district is very involved in trying to resolve a lot of those, but about 13 of them made it to either the complaint or the hearing stage.
Or they withdrew, yeah.
Or they withdrew. So my question is, do you think that's an inordinate number of complaints that have reached that stage for a district the size of JPS?
Well, I think parents, when they call, it's not about the enormous number, in my opinion. When they call, it's about their students, and it's a serious issue at that time. So I can't question, based on what they are feeling at that time, if they really have a right to do that. So I'm not limited to say, do I think it's fair to say that 13 is enough number or it's not enough, based on the number of students they have.
Certainly, with that many students, there are going to be a number of parents who have issues with regard to the services that their children are receiving. And the majority of those, you would agree with me, certainly are resolved short of a complaint or a due process hearing. Because you've had certainly more than 13 complaints over 2 years. So that would mean that somebody resolved them to the satisfaction of the parents because they did not take it to a complaint or a due process hearing.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned the original on-site visit that took place, I believe it was in the fall of 2010, and you said India conducted that visit. Who actually made the original on-site visit to verify non-compliance with IDEA?
Sir, I don't remember the names of the team that went in on that because the monitoring division deals with that. Once I receive the complaint, it goes to the monitoring division.
Do you know if those were outside consultants hired by the State Department of Education, or were they actual State Department personnel?
We utilize outside consultants from time to time, so either way, it could have been from outside consultants.
Okay. And you mentioned in your little timeline on C13 that 418, I believe specifically, an on-site follow-up visit was scheduled that the district asked the team to leave on day one. Did you see that? Did you see that? 418, the district
Okay,
asked.
418, yes.
Yeah. Were you there at that meeting?
No, sir.
If I represented to you that they were asked to leave so that a central office administrator would be present, would you have any reason to refute that?
I object. She's already testified she wasn't at the visit.
Okay, so you don't know why then that's put on there?
I work with the monitoring team very closely, and so we merge our information together.
Right.
So we're a team, and we come together and collect information.
Right.
So
Well, why would you put that on this list if you're not sure why they were asked to leave?
I just stated that we work as a team in our office, we pull data together, and when we have a meeting and the bureau director of monitoring gives me the information, and it's accurate based on her information, and we share the information as a team.
Did you ask the people who provided you this information why they were asked to leave on day one?
I don't recall.
Okay. No further questions.
Steve, you can redirect?
No. The department would like to call
Hang on just a minute, if you would.
I want to apologize. I have neglected to allow the commission members to question the witnesses that we've had before now after each of their testimonies. At this time, I'm going to allow any commission members to question this witness if they have any questions. And of the prior 3 witnesses that we have, we can either call them back at the end of the hearing or they can do so now, whatever is the wishes of the commission. But I apologize for that oversight. Do the commission members have any questions for this witness?
I do.
I'm H.Ann Jones. Dr. Tell, you said that you received a letter on 3/28/12, and we have looked at that letter. Have you received any response from JPS regarding this complaint?
I don't recall at this time. I've been in and out of the office. I really don't recall whether I received that information in. I have to go back to listen to it.
Okay. You also received another letter on 4/3/12. Can you tell us what that was about?
That letter went to our attorney and Jim Comstock Galligan, asking us based on some same information on another similar situated student as well.
I'm sorry.
That letter dealt with the same type of issue and wanted some information on where the district was in compliance on other students as well, based on the 9/8/2010 complaint. So he was asking for additional information on an update of where we are based on coming in compliance.
Okay. So that letter was directed to the State Department of Education, to your department?
To our Social State Superintendent.
Okay. Okay. So it was not directed to JPS. It was directed to the State Department of Education. Is that right? Asking for an update on what has happened since 9/8/10.
Asking for some additional information.
I got it. Thank you.
Is that it? Is that all the question? Oh, yeah.
For Dr. Taylor here.
Right, okay. And you can step down. Thank you. Do the commission members have any questions for the three witnesses that previously testified?
I have something, Ms. Moore.
Okay, would y'all like to do that, get her back now for that? Let's go ahead and do that while it's fresh in your mind. Again, I apologize for that oversight.
Okay, it's Blake Wilson. Ms. Moore, you had, I believe you said that we had not had any lost revenue in federal money, and we would not face that until 2013. Is that correct? Because of these issues?
Well, any sanctions from the Office of Special Education against the state would not begin until we submit our report in February of 2013. And at that time, if the district is still non-compliant, then there could be sanctions against the state at that time, yes.
So we're not facing, may I ask another follow-up? Okay, so we're not facing then an impending loss of funds until that time, until 2013. And what time in 2013 would that be?
The report is submitted annually on February 1.
Okay. That's my only question.
Any other commission members?
Ms. Moore, you indicated in your testimony that there was an implementation issue. In your opinion, how much time would be required to implement the improvement plan or the policies and procedures that you say JPS has in place?
In my opinion,
In your opinion?
we will need a considerable amount of time to ensure that all of the school staff are appropriately trained and implementing the policies and procedures, and that is evidenced in the student records.
When you say considerable, are we talking about 2 months, 3 months, a year, year and a half?
I really can't predict how long, but it's not something you can do in 2 or 3 months.
I see. So we're talking longer than 3 months.
Yes, and remember, we'll have a new administration in place again in July.
Absolutely. And during this implementation process, how much monitoring will be done by the State Department of Education?
Well, we'll be working continuously with the